Alistair walks into the therapist's office, feeling nervous as heck. He didn't want to talk about these issues, but bottling them up simply wasn't healthy. He sat in the chair and waited for his turn. He thought that everyone was staring at him, judging him. He was usually a happy person, but for the past few days he's been nothing but sad. He was sad because he missed someone. "Come on in, Alastor," said the blue butterfly demon, sounding slightly surprised. The butterfly didn't think that he would see such a happy demon in his office. Alastor went into the room and shut the door behind him. "I'm Danville. What brings you here, Alastor?" "I miss my daughter." "You have a daughter?" "Yes, but I don't like talking about her. It's a long story." "Well, I promise I won't judge. We have all the time we have here. Talking about it might actually help you cope." "All right." Alistair sat on the couch and prepared to tell a long story. "It all started when I was still alive. I was waiting in the hospital as my wife was giving birth. April 7th, 1931. "Here's your daughter, Alastor." The doctor gave Alistair the baby, a slight sad look on his face. "She's beautiful. How's her mother doing?" Alastor asked. "She didn't make it," the doctor said. Alistair was silent, but he was in denial. But soon he accepted the doctor was not lying. "Did she have any last words?" "Yes, Olivia." Alistair looked at his daughter, whose eyes started to open. They were blue, just like her mother's. "Olivia." Alistair named his daughter Olivia Roberts, then cried uncontrollably. He thought that he would raise a child alone, but he would try. "Olivia, your mother may not be there for you, but I'm here for you. I will protect you no matter what. I promise." The baby gave a small smile in response. Present day. "So you lost your wife and had to raise the child alone?" "Correct, but it gets worse. August 18th, 1934. "What have I done?" Alistair stares at the blood on his shaky hands. His mind had been racing. He killed someone on accident. It was a simple alleyway fight that ended in Alistair stabbing the man in the heart with his pocket knife. He didn't mean to do this. All he felt was guilt. But yet something about the murder he committed was enjoyable. He smiles and embraces the madness and hides the body to clean up, and clearly planning to do it again. During the present day, I killed a total of 6 people, and of course for years. Might I ask why? I'll never know. I regret it so much. Alastor took a small 5-minute break before finally telling the final chapter of his story. "Now this is how I died, and the last time I saw my daughter. September 16th, 1937. Goodbye, Daddy. I'll be good for the babysitter, as always. That's my girl." Alistair gave his daughter a kiss goodbye and left to do his radio studio. Little did he know that he would never return. He takes a shortcut through the forest. The autumn leaves are crunching on beneath his feet. He was enjoying his walk, but then the dogs came. One leaped onto his neck and biting it, and the other dogs bite and tear. Alistair wanted to scream, but all came up was gurgles, caused by the blood accumulating from his throat. The last thing Alistair saw was a shotgun aimed for his head. The last thing he heard was a gunshot. Alistair woke up, feeling different. He had antlers now. He looked around, and the first thing he noticed was a sign saying, "Welcome to Hell." "Hello?" His new voice startled him. He sounded like a radio now. He smiles. He likes how his new body. He walked into the gates and started his new life. Present day. I never saw my daughter again, nor do I think I ever will. Tears were streaming down his face now. Danville comforted him. "Alastor, I'm so sorry that's happened to you. First your wife died and you had to raise your daughter alone. You became a murder by accident and finally died a gruesome death. Yeah, but I try not to think about it but lately, it's all I've been thinking about. Well, I'm always here if you want to talk about them. Come back anytime." "Thanks, but I'm still worried about my daughter. I want to see her again. But she's either still alive or in heaven. I'm assuming she didn't become a murderer like me. And even if she is in hell, maybe I'll see her again. Only time will tell." "That you're a good mindset to have, Alastor." "Thank you." Alistair left the room and went home. Sure, he's still sad, but he's way less sad than he was before. And that, my little pretties, was Alastor's therapy section. A Hazbin Hotel Fields Pasta written by Jocelyn Morning. Jocelyn Morning, thank you so much for writing this story. Thank you so much for sending this to me. This was appreciated. So, my final thoughts on the story. Well, I actually have seen some, a couple of critical things that was wrong with the story, but I want to go over with them, but I want to start off by saying this. I actually found this story to be an interesting pasta. It's a good feels pasta, but I noticed there were a few flaws. Now, one of the flaws being that, Alastor didn't die in 1937. He died in 1933 from what the last time I looked up at the, Hazbin Hotel Wiki. But yet again, who really knows, to be honest? I don't really know his backstory. And I'm gonna be completely honest, the fact that, Alastor is a deer demon, the fact that he died by dogs and a gunshot, I'm like, wow, I'm assuming that's what actually happened, but I could visualize how Alastor died. Like, I could honestly visualize everything that's happened. Like, this could be possible of Alastor's life in the past before, he died, which it could most likely be the case, but yet again, I'm not really sure. Like, it all started with his wife dying from giving birth to, him becoming a murderer by accident, and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of speechless right there when I saw that. Seeing Alastor doing this and all that, I was honestly pretty surprised when I actually read this story for the first time. Now, I'm definitely going to sit here and say this right now, that the dates of, the present, the dates on, certain things, mainly on the date where Alastor died, he did not die in 1937, he died in 1933. I'm sure that's just like maybe an error. There might have been, another thing I would really have to say was that it was kind of too depressing and to extent. Like, I mean, the story was not terrible, but it was depressing to extent at this time. So, that was actually one of the reasons as to why I kind of, was hesitant to narrate this, because it was a little too depressing. Like, I mean, I've read, a few stories with depressing, endings and depressing concepts, like Monsters, Inc. for the runner-up, for example. Take that story, for example. That story, to be completely honest, I honestly didn't really, to be honest, I really didn't care for, the depressing concept, but it was still a pretty well-made story, and not gonna lie. It was still really well-made in detail, and it still had a pretty good, concept going for. Like, the grammar was good with this story, not gonna lie. The grammar of this was pretty well done. And I really would have to say the sentence structuring did pretty good. Although I did spot a few grammatical errors along with the sentence structuring errors. Like, there was a few punctuation errors. But other than that, the story was still really well made in detail. It's still a pretty good concept for what this pasta really is. So, I would have to say, I do like Hazbin Hotel, and I actually found Hazbin Hotel to be enjoyable. But the main thing I'm gonna sit here and, say this, to be completely honest, was that there were some things that weren't really accurate, mainly with the dates on, the date Alastor died or something, for example, like that. It actually didn't really make sense. Like, some of the dates were, incorrect and all. I'm not going too harsh. I'm just stating, that they need to be kind of fixed up to an extent. Like, not trying to, sit here and bash the offer in any way, shape, or form. I'm just stating, some things that I did notice. So, that's just one of the things. But, I mean, the story was interesting and good, but despite the few flaws that I did notice, the story was still pretty good. I actually still find this one to be quite enjoyable. It's a very enjoyable pasta. It was really well made in detail, and there's definitely time and effort into the story, so there's definitely that. Now, I'm gonna sit here and say that the concept itself was actually quite interesting, to be completely honest. I'm just gonna sit here and say, I mean, this story was not terrible, despite the major flaws, but I actually found this one to be enjoyable. Despite the flaws, I still found this one to be quite enjoyable. You know, the only major thing I wasn't really crazy on was that it was kind of a little bit more depressing than usual. Like, I'm not trying to sit there and bash anybody because, you know, I actually, remember this, the story. If you guys have been on my channel since last year, I narrated Monsters, Inc. The Runner-Up. Despite that story being somewhat sad, I still found this one to be, you know, quite enjoyable. Like, sure, there were flaws, but despite that, I still find this one to be enjoyable. And that's definitely a positive, I could definitely say. It's not a perfect story, but it's still a pretty good concept and pretty good, well-made story. Still really found this one to be funny. Well, not funny, but in a way. But, it's kind of funny to sit here and see that, you know, despite the major flaws, I still found this one to be enjoyable. But, you know, I'm okay with, you know, certain stories that have depressing, you know, concepts. Like, take Monsters, Inc., The Runner-Up, for example. I know I kind of repeated myself, but yet again, I'm definitely say that the story was not perfect, but but to be honest, I still really found that one to be enjoyable. But I still find this one to be fun to read too. So, with that being the case, that being said, I'm gonna sit here and wrap up the review. So, anyways, I'm gonna sit here and say this right now. Like I'm always gonna say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that is fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas. This is just simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because it does have a few flaws. Well, it does have some flaws within the story. You know, with some of the dates being, you know, not accurate or canon to, you know, the date Alastor died and that. But despite the flaws, I still found this one to be quite enjoyable. And I guess with that being the case, and that being said, it's not a terrible story. I still found this one to be enjoyable. Sure, it's not a perfect story, but I did find, you know, some parts of the story to be, you know, enjoyable and well made. Like, I mean, it's not terrible. I'm gonna admit, it's not a terrible story. It's, still pretty good. But with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and say this right now. What did you guys think about this, creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what have you done personally to help make this story a lot better? Oh, this is also a feels pasta too, so there's that. Leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to make, just to make this, so to make a, oh, sorry about that, my brain does not want to work, but to be honest, I'm gonna sit here and say this, that they make brand new, yeah, and anyways, like, if you're new to my channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day, and even don't forget to ring the notification bell to when he uploads, then you guys will not miss an upload. I'm the Queen of Lions, and as always, please roll the outro, because I'm out.